Hello. This is a test run, but I decided I wanted to try out live streaming once or twice before dismissing it entirely. I'm Benjamin White, and I am the creator here at Pitter Squish Productions. This is the first live stream I've ever done, so without further ado, let's get started. I don't know if I want to draw for the entirety of it, or if I don't have much planned. I was just trying to fill time, really. But if you have any questions or are getting into the chat for the first time, obviously it's going to be pretty minuscule compared to like some big streamers. But if you have any questions or anything to ask, feel free to ask them. But I'll probably stay fairly silent just so I can focus on whatever I am focusing on at any given time. The refresh rate is pretty slow for the camera, but that'll have to do for now. If I need to, I can mess with settings later. It's pretty simplistic setup, really. It's just a simple webcam taped to a just a basic like tripod, a short one, so it's desk worthy, I suppose. But yeah, here I'll try to angle this a little bit better. So this is the character Loaf. Or no, this is the character over here is Loaf. And this is Citrus. I don't know if it's mirrored or not. The image, it looks like it is. But there we go. And Loaf is going to be so it's all mirrored, but you get the point. Another setting I should note down. And yeah, I don't know what I should draw, but let's try to get into it. Just jump right in. As I like to say, just trying to get something on paper just so you can at least gain some progress while you're just sitting here idly. I don't know how well this shows up. It looks like it appears pretty well on the screen. And obviously, since this is just a test, I'm not going to be tweeting it out or anything. I'll just probably be messing around on my own. So right now I'm making a mirror image of this so you guys can see what it looks like. Though I haven't really tried to draw on mirror all that much, so you'll have to excuse the sloppiness of the drawing. So the character of Citrus is and Loaf. Well, the characters of Citrus and Loaf are fairly I don't know what you would call it. I would call it weird. is a simple way to put it, but they are socially inept, as I like to put it. The two of them. Obviously, Loaf, since he's the leader, is going to be a little bit more capable with like social interactions, but not too much more than Citrus here. Citrus is the one I'm drawing right now, is more or less just off his rocker. Yeah, he's meant to kind of be this really morally bankrupt individual. I could get into more detail about it once I've refined the characters. But yeah, I'm right now just brainstorming ideas as an artist. That's just a really fun thing to do, obviously. Right now I'm using Copic multiliners, 0.3 millimeter it looks like, just so I can get the thicker lines in here. After that we'll go in with some thinner pieces, thinner tip markers. So yeah, I've been thinking about this comic idea for a while now, but I haven't done a lot with it up until the past few months, where I've started to hone these characters and who they are. I spent a long time figuring out the world, mostly just because that's really important to me. I don't want there to be too much wiggle room with how the physics of the world work, because Loaf and Citrus are intergalactic smugglers, if you will, pirates, though they do some legitimate business deals and stuff, transactions. They are often put in a place where they're kind of just swimming about in the vast ozone of the cosmos. So the comic is known as the Cosmic Loaf. That's what I'm going to be calling it, I think. I feel that has a nice ring to it, and it expresses what I want to express about the comic. And I don't know how I'm going to be doing it. I think I'm going to just be doing I'm going to try to be outputting a few pages every so often onto a website of mine or onto Twitter or something. My Twitter is YT Doodles, the letter Y, and the letter T, and then Doodles, _Doodles. So if you wanted to follow me, you can do that. Otherwise, that's just an option for you. Yeah, apart from that, there's not much else to go into with that whole deal. I'm thinking that I want to do it in color, but most of the artwork is going to be fairly odd looking like this, because I like this. I explain it in my headcanon as this is a dilated pupil because they're in space all the time, but obviously it's going to be consistently that wide even if they're staring at the sun. So that's just kind of an excuse to just have these cutesy little dudes running around wreaking havoc on the galaxy and its sub-galaxies that hover around it. So right now I'm just inking in the eyes. Yeah, I haven't really looked at the other one too much. I have their look consistent, or pretty consistent across the board. I'm trying to figure out ways to make them more dynamic when they're in action poses and stuff. The good thing is they're going to be on a starship for a majority of their ventures, so it's not going to be too big of a deal if they look a little not stiff, not rigid, but compact. Almost like Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes, but a little bit more I don't know, a little bit more alien looking, even though they're human. It's supposed to take place in the comic takes place in 2999, so there's been enough time that we don't know what humans will look like then at that point. So I don't want to give too much away about the story I have in mind, but because it'll be somewhat episodic, I'm thinking. As episodic as comics tend to get, I think. Here we go. So yeah, Citrus is a little bit pudgier and taller than Loaf. Loaf is kind of compact, about the same width, but the height difference is almost like a Han Solo to Chewbacca comparison, where one's tall and one's short. Except this one, Citrus is kind of the bringer of chaos, if you will, while Loaf is kind of like this constraining force, while somewhat chaotic, is a little bit more morally cohesive, a little bit more morally good, for lack of a better term. And their ship is currently called, I'll just call it the ITV. The ITV Parkinson. That's what you guys will know it as for now, for the time being, but it's obviously going to undergo some name changes throughout the course of the comic book. The ITV Parkinson it stands for Intergalactic Transport Vessel, and they'll be using it to transport whatever goods they happen to be stowing on that any given encounter with them. And obviously, when I was doing the brainstorming comic ideas, I was thinking there haven't been a lot of like harder science fiction space comics that I know of. I know Jack Kirby did some. Was it Jack Kirby that did the 2001 comics? Was it the Odyssey comics? I don't know if he did those or what. I'm not familiar enough with my comic book history, sadly enough, but I know of those. I think the ones based off of 2001: A Space Odyssey. If it wasn't him that did them, it's someone whose style is very reminiscent of his. Yeah, I spelled it right and everything. So let's draw the ITV Parkinson real quick, or at least like a rough sketch of it, and then I'll leave this be for now. I'll close down the live stream just because I have somewhere to go later tonight, and I need to be ready. So I have laid out what everything on the vessel is for the most part. I've left some things ambiguous just so I'm not like writing myself into a corner. But overall, I think I have the layout of the ship pretty well organized. So you have the port starboard sides of the bow of the ship, and the stern. So yeah, obviously this is the front of the ship right here. And this is the back, the stern. And there's an engine in the back, similar to the Millennium Falcon, but not too close. Like it's not going to be using the conventional tropes of intergalactic travel so much. I mean, it will have to be grounded in this kind of warp theory, this warp drive type of thing going on, but I'm gonna mess with the idea a little bit so that it's not so simple. I want to have like a different eras of warping, similar to Star Trek, how it's you have the different like types of warp, but mine's gonna be fairly like mainstream, almost like an Apple product where it's like this huge deal when some new warp drive comes out. It's gonna be called the Hermes drive. So like the Greek or Roman god. I think it was Greek, he was Hermes, and then Roman, he was Mercury. But it's gonna be the Hermes. Yeah, that's Hermes drive, and it's gonna be in the center right here, underneath this anti aircraft, or not aircraft, but it's a flak laser cannon, and here's the defensive laser turret. This right here is a backup generator that can be detached to be used as like a makeshift bomb of some sort for an escape. And this is the cockpit, obviously. It's also detachable in the instance that they need a escape pod, which I'll be going over in the story. And it's going to stretch space and time, the Hermes drive. Specific Hermes drives from different eras are going to do specific things as far as how far you can go, how far you can travel with them. So obviously not right off the bat in history we were able to travel to new galaxies. At some point we were only able to travel interplanetarily with these drives, and at other points we were capable of interstellar and then finally intergalactic. So I have this whole setup undergoing. There's also the things from it's based off of the things from Mass Effect. I think that's where I was delving into when I was thinking up the idea, but it's like a star coil. I haven't drawn any yet, but the star coil is somewhat similar to like a Mass Effect relay, but instead of just slingshotting a ship, it sort of the ship like docks in this bay. It like goes in, and this bay orbits a star, obviously, far enough away that it won't overheat any ships. They have something called insulation fields, so that they absorb heat evenly and redistribute it throughout the ship, so that one spot isn't melting, like one side of the ship. So if a laser blast hits it from here, it's going to redistribute it across the entirety of the ship. So you are basically overheating the ship, as opposed to just melting a hole in the side and jettisoning everything out of it. But the star coils absorb the energy from a star and then transfer it into the Hermes drive so that you're not wasting your own fuel. And if your Hermes drive is the appropriate type of drive, then it will absorb that energy properly. And if it's the type that is correct for a specific jump, then you'll be able to go intergalactically if you have an intergalactic Hermes drive, which are a little bit more rare than some drives, just because in this universe it's going to be heavily regulated by totalitarian regime of sorts. I haven't gotten into any of the details too much, but I've thought through some of it a little bit. And star coils are nice, but if you have a drive that's even more advanced, you'll be able to do like a total fuel burn and burn through all of your fuel, hoping that you don't get stranded on the way and like your engine burns out. But you'll be able to do a total fuel burn from one system to another without the help of anything like that, like a star coil. You'll be able to just burn through all of your fuel, and fuel I think will burn exponentially, so it's a bit dangerous to use that in that regard. So yeah, like, and if you have one even more advanced, then you'll be able to travel. You'll be able to just completely travel without the help of a star coil, and you won't do total fuel burn because your drive is efficient enough that it won't burn through all of your fuel and it won't overheat, and all of the factors that are at play. Though intergalactic travel isn't at the stage where it can be done without the help of either a star coil, or if you haven't advanced enough, it's going to be a very rare drive that actually it's for intergalactic travel, and it doesn't require a star coil, but it also travels at speeds that are like it will do a total fuel burn, and that's like as good as it gets for civilian craft, because at that point the totalitarian regime will take over and won't really let anybody have that type of drive on the civilian market. But anyways, I hope you guys have liked this short live stream. I better get going because I'm going to be late otherwise. But yeah, if you like what you see and are interested in the idea, then let me know and I'll continue brainstorming. I'll probably continue brainstorming regardless, just because I love the world that this brings forth, the possibilities that I foresee in it. But anyways, my name has been Ben White, and I will sign off for you all. See ya.